Hello and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at noon. I'm Amanda Rowley. Well, let's kick things off with weather first. We are tracking a weather impact alert day, and we've got Thomas Patrick tracking all things hot, hot, hot. Thomas, tell us more about it.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Amanda. Yeah, hot, hot, hot as I stand out here. Sun beating on the back of my neck, and I can absolutely feel it as our temperatures are already near 90 degrees, and it's just noon. And with only some very high level cirrus clouds in the sky, it's not going to stop that anywhere soon. Hotter than yesterday. We felt the heat build through this weekend. Now we have heat advisories really for a large majority of the inland Northwest. Temperatures should approach 100 degrees. I think the best chances will be over central Washington. Extreme heat warnings, that more serious and severe criteria for the lower Columbia Basin of southern Washington, even hotter yet in that region. There's your current temperatures. Again, approaching 90, 87 at the moment, which is already above the average high temperature for this time of year, and we're still going to climb almost another 10 degrees before the day is through, well into the 90s, deep into the 90s for central Washington. So this is about 10 degrees above average as it stands right now, but we have this huge ridge in the jet stream, and that is going to keep that heat locked in place for at least 2 days, probably a third as we reach the very tail end of this, again, very large storm system. So things are going to stay hot and dry for a few days, but I'll also be tracking when our windiest days are going to be as well. So that and all those details are coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Patrick. And while we are under this weather impact alert, here are a few hacks that you can use to stay cool this week. If you're having trouble cooling down, you could use an ice pack on your pulse points. That's where your blood vessels are closer to the skin's surface. Columbia's Climate School recommends doing this on your wrists, neck, elbows, feet, thighs, temples, and forehead. Now, if you don't have an ice pack, you can wet a washcloth and put it in the freezer. Plus, keeping your house cool can be expensive, so avoid using appliances that give off a lot of heat. This includes your oven, stovetop, washer, dryer, and dishwasher. Instead, try using a microwave or an outdoor grill to cook. If you have to wash clothes, use cold water and air dry, or do that laundry at night. Well, today the community is remembering the life of Spokane County Sheriff Sergeant Kenneth Salis. He was killed on Saturday morning in a crash on I-90 near Four Lakes. KREM 2's Christian Garza shares the latest from the sheriff's office and how the community can pay their respects.
At Saturday's press conference, we learned that 59-year-old Spokane County Sheriff Sergeant Kenneth Salis died after being hit by a motorcyclist while on duty. Spokane County Sheriff John Knowles says Sergeant Salis was just 30 work shifts away from retiring.
Heartbreak and shock.
It's a tough day for our community and for law enforcement.
With grief in his voice, Spokane County Sheriff John Knowles says the organization and the communities never prepared for a tragedy like this.
There was no malice involved in any of this. It was a collision. It was an accident.
An accident that took the life of Sergeant Kenneth Salis, who worked with the Spokane County Sheriff's Office for over 3 decades. Sheriff Knowles says Sergeant Salis was driving near the Four Lakes exit on I-90 Saturday morning just before 8 when he noticed a hay bale fell off of a truck and onto the road, causing unsafe conditions. As Sergeant Salis helped clean up the hay, the sheriff's office says a motorcyclist failed to slow down in time and hit both Sergeant Salis and his patrol car. Both Sergeant Salis and the motorcyclist were sent to the hospital. However, the sergeant later died from his injuries. During a press conference, Sheriff Knowles shared that Sergeant Salis recently talked with him about retiring next month.
And he had spent time sharing with me what his plans were for the next 2 years, and he was at peace with his decision to retire. And today, he ended up having to pay a price that no one should have to pay.
While speaking with the media following the crash, the sheriff reflected on the type of person Sergeant Salis was, describing him as the nicest man you could ever meet.
I think he took the idea of being a servant leader to heart, and I think the men and women who worked with him and worked for him would tell you that they just absolutely loved working for him.
Sergeant Salis is survived by his wife. Sheriff Knowles says arrangements are currently in the works to honor him. The motorcyclist remains in the hospital with serious injuries.
Sheriff Knowles says if the community would like to pay their respects, they can do so at the Law Enforcement Memorial right outside the Public Safety Building. In Spokane, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
And people have been leaving flowers and notes at that law enforcement memorial. One note thanked Sergeant Salis for being an inspiration. Along with his career in law enforcement, Sergeant Salis also served in the United States Air Force for 2 decades. He retired as a technical sergeant with the Washington State Air National Guard. Well, right now, an investigation is underway in Clarkston. The Spokane County Sheriff's Office responded to an apparent murder-suicide over the weekend. Deputies responded to a home on Boston Street where they found a man and a woman dead. Investigators believe the man shot the woman, then himself. Authorities say 2 young children and their great-grandmother, who was caring for them in another part of the home, were not hurt. And this afternoon, we have more information about the deadly stabbing in downtown Spokane last week. It shut down both the Post Street and Monroe Street bridges. Spokane police arrested Colin Pedro for the murder. The suspect appeared in court for those charges on Friday. Court records say it started as an argument between Pedro and his partner over stolen ID and EBT cards. His partner told police Pedro punched him and pushed him down, dislocating his knee. That's when witnesses say Anthony Espinoza, a nearby bystander, stepped in. When he tried to break up the argument, police say Pedro stabbed him at least 10 times. Espinoza died at the hospital. Pedro's partner is still recovering from his injuries, but should be okay. Pedro is still in jail this morning, this afternoon, on a $1 million bond. And a federal judge blocked a request to stop enforcement of Idaho's bathroom law in high schools. The law, signed into effect in 2023, requires students to use restrooms corresponding with their biological sex. The judge ruled to uphold the legislation, citing the state's interest in protecting student privacy. Idaho Attorney General Raul Labrador praised the decision, saying in part, "This is yet another victory for common sense and the dignity of women and girls."